what's up everyone? This is Mike with HeadRush, and I'm here today at Kraft Music to talk about the HeadRush Pedalboard. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do an overview and then we're going to take a deep dive and really get into the nitty-gritty of what the HeadRush is, what it can do, and how you can use it as a guitar or bass player. So what I'd like to do is start with an overview of all the controls on board. So let's start over on the top left-hand side. This is where you're going to find all of the controls for output. What's really great about the way that HeadRush is put together is you have your master output control over here, but you also have your output control for your headphones as well as your auxiliary. What's really great about that is you don't have to do any kind of menu diving when you're trying to put together a mix for practicing, maybe with a backing track. Maybe you're not in a position to run this through an extension cabinet or anything like that. So you can plug your headphones in, dial in your backing track, and fine-tune the mix of what's going into your ear right here on top. Next to that, we have a multi-purpose jog wheel. This kind of takes the place of navigating with the touchscreen, so if there's certain things you want to really dial in or fine-tune, this is a really great tool to use for that. To the right of the touchscreen, we have these three soft knobs. Now these are used for adjusting and fine-tuning all the parameter values that you're laying out across your signal path on this touchscreen. Now the touchscreen right at the heart of the unit is a beautiful 7-inch full-colored screen. It allows you to not only add and populate all the different sounds, including amps, pedals, that sort of thing, but it allows you to quickly and easily drag and drop and maneuver these so you can dial in the sound and sound design exactly what you're looking for just by touching and go. So down below we have our color-coded foot switches with OLED displays. Now these are completely customizable. You can change the color to your liking, and it works really well, especially for someone like me who performs without my glasses. I can look down and make that association looking at that color just like that. So that's fantastic. And then, of course, to the right-hand side, we have this integrated expression pedal. This is great for assigning up to 8 different parameter values across 2 different modes of any of the blocks that are assigned to the rig or preset that you've created on the HeadRush. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go through the actual layout on the touchscreen, and we're going to talk about how we create a new rig. So for starters, we're going to access our main menu. This is the ... menu on the upper right-hand side of the screen. And you'll see at the very top of that menu, New Rig. So we're going to make that selection. What you'll see is 11 empty blocks. Now, we have 2 default blocks, input and output. What's great about these are what you use to actually fine-tune the gain staging of your instrument in and the volume or output levels. So if I double tap the input block, what you'll see is we have a metering, so you can see exactly the amount of level that's coming through to keep you from clipping or redlining. This is especially good in case you have multiple instruments that you're using, say in a live performance. You might have a guitar that has active pickups, another one that has passive pickups. So the beautiful thing about the way that this is designed is you can actually save your own preset per instrument that you're using for those live sets. So all those levels are consistent time after time. You can also lock those parameter values. So that way, from when you're going from preset to preset or rig to rig, those are going to be locked into place every single time. So they won't bounce back to any defaults that may have been set in advance. This is where you're also going to be able to see the integrated noise gate. What's really great about the way that the HeadRush noise gate works is it's what we call a universal effect, meaning that you can access it at any given time just by touching the input block. And you can see that those parameter values are thrown off to the right-hand side, and you can make adjustments with these soft knobs. So what's cool about that is you don't have to consume a block in the signal path to use it, keeping those open for any other options that you might want to use. On the outside of the signal path, we have our output block. And if you double tap that, you can see this is going to be your metering for your output levels. This is especially important for recording because, as you may or may not know, what might sound good to your ear may actually be clipping or distorting when you're actually sending those signals into your recording software. You might not be able to hear it, but with the HeadRush, you can absolutely see it. So this keeps you sending a clean signal in, so whether you're reamping that signal or just recording straight away, you're not going to send any kind of distorted or clipping signal to your recording. So that's great. You can also store presets on this as well, meaning that you can just grab your go-to guitar, open up your preset, and you're good to go. So let's back out of here and let's get started building our rig. All you need to do is touch one of the open empty blocks, and what you'll see is a very clean and organized macro menu. And you can see we have amp, cab, custom IR, distortion, dynamic, EQ, modulation, reverb delay, effects loop, and expression pedal. It's a very clean layout. I'm going to go ahead and select amp, and then you can see it will populate a new menu, and it shows all the amps that are currently on board, the HeadRush firmware that we have installed in this today. This is going to be basically all your greatest hits, so everything from classic Fender amps, Marshalls, Soldanos, Mesa Boogie, Bogner amps, basically everything you need to really dial in the perfect tone for you. And we also have some bass amps in here too. Just to be clear, bass wasn't an afterthought when we put this together. So there's some seriously cool SVT rigs in here that the bass players can enjoy too. So let's go ahead and select an amp and get started. I'm going to choose a AC30 amplifier. This is called the 66 AC High Boost. Now, what you'll notice is straight off, when it populates into the signal path, it automatically pairs it with a complementary cabinet. This way, you have a viable sound that you can start working with right away. I'll give you an example of that, just so you can hear what I'm talking about. So that's great. What's cool about the way that this is set up is all the controls, they actually default to 12 o'clock. Or 50%. So that way you can start dialing it into your liking right away. Now, let's say that you don't necessarily want to use the complementary cabinet that it paired with. So all you have to do to change that is double tap. Here you're going to find the drop-down menu for all the different cabs on board HeadRush. So if I select that, you can see we have 15 integrated cabinets on board. So if I wanted to see what that sounded like, say, with a 412 cabinet with vintage 30s, I can just select that. In the same screen, I can also select a different microphone. We have 10 different mics on board, basically everything you would expect to see in any professional recording studio. So I'm going to grab a 57, and I'm going to place that on axis, meaning that it's going to be directing the microphone straight into the cone, which is going to give it a little bit brighter sound. So let's listen to what we have so far. Okay, so you can tell right away that just by changing up the cabinet, by changing up the microphone, changing up the direction of the mic, we're starting to build this tone. Really fast, efficient, and easy. So I'm going to back out to the main screen, and I'm going to touch our amplifier. And one thing that you'll notice is every time I tap one of the different blocks on board, it's going to apply a little halo around that icon. When that does that, all the parameter values for that particular icon are thrown off to the right-hand side of the screen. And this is where you can make an adjustment or several adjustments with the soft knobs off to the side. So I can start dialing this tone in right now. So let's go ahead and do that. Raise the normal volume and the brilliant volume. Heat things up just a tiny bit that way. Beef up the treble. Sounding pretty good. Now, what's great about the way that HeadRush is designed, because it's touchscreen and the ability to just dive into the menus quickly and easily. One thing that you're noticing is we're really cutting the fat in the workflow in this. Instead of having to jump through a bunch of hoops with a ton of different screens and do a lot of menu diving, it's really just a matter of a couple touches. So if I wanted to heat this up a little bit more, maybe make it a little bit grittier, I can add an overdrive pedal just by accessing my distortion preferences. I'm going to grab a tube screamer, and let's see what that sounds like. So now it's heating up, the tone's developing, and I'm going to add some time-based effects to it, like a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb, add some ambience to it, and I'm going to show you some of the cool features of what you can do once you populate these into the signal path inside HeadRush. So let's open up, yet again, another empty block, and I'm going to grab a delay pedal. Take note, I'm going to separate the head from the cabinet, leaving a space in between. And what that does is it actually allows you to place the pedals into a virtual effects loop placement. So you can actually hear what it would sound like if you were running this pedal through the effects loop of an amplifier. So it's almost like we've taken this Vox AC30 and just opened it up and pushed a delay pedal into it. So now that I have the delay pedal on board, let's go ahead and dial that in. I'm going to drop the mix down to about 20% and the feedback down to about 8%. Let's give that a listen. So now, because of being able to drag and drop all the different pedals around to the signal path, we're going to listen to see what that same delay pedal would sound like at the very beginning of the signal. Completely different flavor, exactly the same way that it would work in real life if you were putting a bunch of pedals down and daisy chaining them with cables. Is exactly the same sort of sound that you would get running it in that configuration. You can also run effects after the cabinet, which will give you the same effect of what happens in the soundboard, either in a live performance application or in the studio, and getting those effects through the board. And that's what this would sound like. So this is just one example of how fast and efficient it is to really kind of geek out and have fun developing a sound and not having to jump through a bunch of different hurdles to experiment and dial in something that you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to build this out with one more pedal. I'm going to add spring reverb, and I'm going to place that right in between the head and the cabinet, which, as we just learned, we'll put into a virtual effects loop place. So this is almost like, again, we just opened up this amplifier, and we pushed a Fender reverb tank right into it. So let's dial this in. Roll back the mix on it a touch, up the decay time. Let's see what we have. So there you have it. I've just dialed in a rock tone. I've given myself a couple different time-based effects so I can bring out a little bit of ambiance in case I wanted to play some solos, that sort of thing. Now, we just set up this rig. Let's say I just created the perfect rig for my live performance application. So now I want to assign those different pedals that I put into this lineup and lay them across the foot switches so I can have access to them during a live performance. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter our hardware assign, which is going back to the main menu. We're going to select hardware assign, and what you'll see are these 8 blocks right here in between, and they represent these 8 foot switches right in the center. So all I have to do to make an adjustment is just simply drag and drop them. And you can see that we're putting them exactly where we want them in a matter of seconds. That's fast. That's an incredibly fast feature. Hands down, no one else can do it the same way we do. This is just incredibly fast and easy to put together. So now that we laid these foot switches out and we have them exactly where we want them for our live performance application, let me show you exactly how you can use this for when you're playing live. Because when you're playing live, it's not going to be propped up, probably not, on a stand in front of you. It's going to live on the stage floor. So if you needed to make a quick adjustment without having to bend over and tweak anything, all you have to do is just simply hold your foot down on any of the parameters on any of the blocks, and it's going to open up all the parameter values for that particular switch. So you can make adjustments to any of those values simply by using the expression pedal. So you can make wide adjustments to those values with the expression pedal, or you can make incremental adjustments with these plus and minus switches on the lower right-hand side. You can even save these. So if you dial in a tone, you're like, this is really working for this gig, or you really just like the way it turned out, you can save right from the foot switch, or you can exit right back out. That's a really powerful way to make a quick adjustment on the fly without having to take your hands off your instrument. All right, so next I want to talk about the different modes on the HeadRush. You can access these just by holding down the lower left-hand foot switch. You'll see it says hold for view. And when you do that, you'll see that we have stomp, rig, hybrid, set list, and song. And these really speak to the different kinds of users or different kind of players that will use HeadRush in a variety of different applications. The stomp mode is probably the most popular. It sets it up more like a traditional pedal that you're probably already familiar with. So you're able to turn all the different pedals in your signal path on and off. You can have them momentarily hold and release, that sort of thing. But where it really gets a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more fun is going into hybrid mode, where you have access to those same pedals, but you also have access to the different rigs or presets that are sitting in between or on either side of the preset you're already on. So it gives you quick access to change presets, but it also gives you the power to make adjustments to the different sounds that you have in your signal path on the different rows. If we go back into the view mode, we can access rig mode. Now this is going to strictly give you access to all the different rigs that are available inside the HeadRush. They're all outlined by name. They're also color-coded so you can see what you're getting yourself into quickly and easily and make a quick switch on the fly. This is extremely powerful if you're the kind of person that needs access to a lot of sounds under their feet really fast. We've also added a really cool feature for the performing musician called Setlist Mode. And I'm going to show you how to create that right now. In Setlist Mode, all you have to do is access the top left-hand side menu. And you'll see that this is a good way to categorize all the different sounds on board, but you can also set this up for your own performance or performances. Just touch New, and it's going to give you access to all the different presets inside of HeadRush. The idea with this is that you can populate a list for different songs that you'll be performing live. So, for instance, on song 1, you might only need 2 sounds. But for song 2, you might need access to only 1. You build this the same way you would any other kind of playlist. That's kind of the way it's designed, is to be intuitive, almost like your favorite playlist that you have access to maybe on your phone or tablet. So you can just literally drag and drop or make selections to gather these sounds that you'll need for your performances. Let's go ahead and add a couple more just for the sake of demonstration. We'll go ahead and have song 4. Great. So now we have some song lists here and some sounds to go with those songs. We'll touch Save, Save New List. You'll see this beautiful keyboard appear, and then you can name this. You can name it the name of the place you're playing, maybe the name of the gig, maybe the name of the band. For today, we're just going to call this Kraft. There we go. So we'll exit out of this, and you can see right here we have our Kraft playlist. And you'll see this indicated on the lower left-hand side of the screen. And what this does is it allows you to have quick access to all of those different sounds that you might need for each given song. So this is a fast, quick, and efficient way to organize all the sounds that you need to play your entire set list and have access to them under your feet. We've added one more feature to complement this, and this is our song mode. You're going to access this the same way as all the other modes by holding down the lower left-hand switch, go into song, and what you'll see is a very clean, organized way of seeing all the different songs lined up in succession. And all you have to do is just bounce down from song to song, and it's going to give you access to all the different rigs or presets that you need for those songs. This is an incredibly fast way to organize all the different songs that you'll need for your live performance or performances. This is absolutely huge, and no one else does it. So looking at the back panel, we have from left to right our instrument input, also our external expression pedal port. This allows you to connect an additional expression pedal to control either pedal A or B. We also have an 1/8" auxiliary line for your phone, MP3 player, whatever audio source you want to feed into the HeadRush. For outputs, we have a pair of balanced XLR and a pair of balanced 1/4" line outs. We have our amp level and line level switch, which is good to stage the impedance depending on whether you're going through a powered speaker like our FR line or if you're using this into a more traditional amplifier. To the left of that, we also have our headphone out, and we have our effects loop section. So, even though everything is built into HeadRush that you absolutely love, there might be a pedal or two or a piece of rack gear that you just can't live without, and you can patch that in here as well. We also have our MIDI in, out, and through. So this is going to allow you to control, master, and slave all your MIDI gear, as well as our USB port. Now, the USB port will allow you to use HeadRush as a 4-in, 4-out USB audio interface. It works as a real-time hardware plug in the fact that you can do all your reamping directly from the unit as well. But it's also the conduit for all of your updates, your firmware updates, sending and receiving all the different information, third-party IRs, that sort of thing. And of course, your power supply. We have our IEC cable, which is standard, and your power on and off switch. So today I have the pedal board connected into our FR 108. This is from our FR line, which also includes the 112. These speakers are designed specifically for guitar and bass modeling. They're a polypropylene exterior, meaning that there's no resonance, there's no added sound that's coming out of them. They're not creating the sound of their own. An example of that is, there's a lot of painstaking work that goes into developing these different amp models and cab emulations. And when you're running these through a combo amp or something that's made of wood that creates its own resonance, it's almost like throwing a blanket over all that work that's been done, where the FR line, which stands for full range flat response, really is a natural replication of all that work that's been done. So this is really the best way to get all the sound quality that you're looking for out of the HeadRush and other modelers too. What's great about this boasts 2,000 watts. The 8-inch version is roughly 20 pounds, so you could pick it up and take it anywhere you need to for gigs small or large. And it's a perfect monitoring system for you to just angle up, kick back, or you can throw it on a stand. It also has a pole mount on it. The I/O on this is very simple. We didn't want to confuse anything or make it overcomplicated. Just simply has 2 combo inputs, both for XLR and 1/4-inch lines, and 2 master volume controls, output levels. So it's designed to be portable, powerful, and be able to just pick up and go when the gig is done. So one of the great things about working with Kraft Music is their bundle packages. They'll get you everything that you need so you can start rocking from the get-go. When you get your pedal board, you can also get an FR speaker, all the cables, your carrying bag, so you have everything that you need to take to practice, to the gig, to the studio, all in one whack. And if you want, you can just call them up and they'll help you put together your own personalized package that works best for you. So there you have it. This is the HeadRush Pedalboard. It's flexible, powerful, and it's super easy to dial in all the tones you need to go from the studio to the stage. Once again, this is Mike with HeadRush here at Kraft Music, signing off.